How do farmers deal with radioactive wild boars attacking their farms? If hundreds of thousands of radioactive wild boars attacked your farm, what would you do to deal with this terrifying wild species? Now allow me to introduce to you different regions around the world to see how farmers deal with them. The radioactive wild boar is a strategic result of the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear disaster in Japan in 2011. This disaster caused a large amount of radiation to escape into the environment, affecting the northern sea area, the Pacific. In that context, wild boars are the herbivorous wild animals that often forage on the coast, as they have been exposed to radioactive sources in the environment and are being poisoned. The number of wild boars are unknown, but it's estimated that millions of wild animals worldwide are exposed to radiation. They are concentrated mainly in Europe, Asia, and North America, areas with suitable habitats for this animal. In the vast fields, in the dense forests, wild boars are completely free to move and search for food. An especially important thing about wild boars is that they are very well adapted to the natural environment, and they can be found almost anywhere. However, after the nuclear explosion, concerns about radioactive contamination spread widely among the population. Experts have assessed that wild boars, due to their eating habits, can come into contact with radioactively contaminated areas easily. That raises concerns that they could become a major source of pollution and pose a threat to the health of these animals and humans. In some residential areas, the presence of wild boars has created challenging situations. Faced with this situation, local police had to conduct a thorough siege to arrest the wild boars causing trouble in the area. This requires them to equip themselves with professional and complex tools to be able to cope effectively. These tools are not simply to capture wild boars, but also to ensure the safety of the surrounding community. Using reasonable measures not only helps prevent harm to wild boars, but also keeps the capture process humane and does not harm the animal. The process of encircling and capturing wild boars not only took a few hours, but also was the result of the high professionalism and concentration of the local police. They have applied the best techniques and strategies to ensure maximum efficiency in this process. Notably, in some other areas, the police acted delicately and gently, hardly causing harm to wild boars, and at the same time keeping the surrounding community safe. Their sensitivity and flexibility in dealing with this situation helped them to solve the problem effectively, not only protecting the community, but also maintaining the natural balance. building fences isn't just a simple measure to deter wild boars, but is also a spending strategy for local communities. People living near areas where wild boars frequently appear understand the threat they pose to fields and orchards. They do not hesitate to spend a large amount of money to buy materials and build fences, considering it an investment to protect their income and livelihood. The community's determination to build fences isn't only limited to keeping out wild boars, but also creates a significant protective wall against the encroachment of other species. Strongly built fences aren't only an effective security measure, but also carries hope to the communities and can protect their plains from diverse challenges of the natural world. This is not only an individual action, but also solidarity, community spirit, and proactiveness in protecting everyone's living environment. To deal with the problem of radioactive wild boar, smart farmers have applied special and scientific measures to control and harvest the rapidly growing wild boar population. First of all, they conducted detailed research on the behavior and biology of this animal, thereby building extremely effective traps. Traps are placed in forests where wild boars are frequent, and even in areas near farms. This proves the wisdom of farmers, as they not only focus on protecting their farms, but also maintaining the ecological balance in the area. Specially made trap cages, discrete mechanisms make catching wild boars effective and safe. In particular, farmers have creatively used bait to make wild boars easily fall into the trap. By placing trap bait inside the cage, when the pig enters and eats the bait, the trap door will close automatically. Not only does this help them effectively catch wild boars overnight, but it also keeps wild boars populations from being able to rely on traditional behavioral patterns to avoid capture. To facilitate the harvesting process, farmers also use tools to make wild boars faint. When wild boars lose consciousness, they can harvest them easily and safely. In addition to spring traps, there are a number of other types of traps with simple construction and low cost that are also used effectively to deal with wild boars problems. Another popular option is the persimmon tree trap, which is not only inexpensive but also effective in attracting and catching wild boars. Rose tree traps have similar uses to spring traps, but a lower cost. User simply needs to choose a large persimmon tree, tie the trap tightly to the tree, set bait, and then cover the trap with the leaves to create concealment. This is not only optimizing the ability to catch pigs, but also reduces the risk of other animals being caught by a mistake. Although the persimmon tree trap seems simple, this is precisely its power. Using such simple means not only saves costs, but also reflects the spirit of creativity and efficiency in environmental management. It is also important to note that any means of dealing with wild boars requires careful environmental and ethical considerations. Ensuring that this facility does not unduly impact the local ecology and not causing unwanted damage is absolutely important. At the same time, the destruction of collected wild boars also needs to be done in a safe, environmentally sound way, avoiding unforeseen consequences.
These approaches have been great at stopping the spread of some invasive species. Got any ideas for even better solutions? Drop your thoughts in the comments so we can all dive into it together. Thanks for sticking around and watching the whole video. If you liked it, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And hey, be sure to tell your friends about us too so they can check it out. Bye and see you in the next video.